Everybody, welcome back to the GeoNet Properties podcast. We're coming to you live from a different part of our office right now. It's always good to sort of have different settings. We're also in a laid back setting because we're with a good friend. I just want to be very honest with you. I know this man now for almost 2 years. He's now a serial investor with us, but going further than his journey, or going further into his journey, I just want to set it up for you because a lot of you are investors, a lot of you are first-time investors. But as I've said in other podcasts before, our clientele, the investors that come to us, aren't first-time investors as per se, if we were to give them a profile. They are property developers, they are real estate agents, they are entrepreneurs, they are businessmen, they are intellectuals, and they are incredibly bullish on what we're doing here. And Mark, you're no different. Mr. Mark Meelan, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast. I've given you a little bit of a lead in there, but you started 45 odd years ago as an auctioneer.
Well,
tell me about
that. This is a great story. My father ring the auction bells in Footscray.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you were doing, right?
Yeah. And I as a young, 6-year-old used to go running around and ring the bell, and everyone would sort of, oh, that's a cute kid. I come along to the auction, which is a great ploy to get more people.
Yeah, right. So you were the cutie.
Yeah, I was the cutie.
But that started your, I guess you were exposed at a very young age to that entire, to property mindset, to a property investment mindset, I guess.
So absolutely. I was stamping, trust account receipts for my dad, and then went on to do the valuers course and real estate courses, and really had a passion for that. And I've done quite a few other things as an entrepreneur over the years. I won't go too much.
You've exited many great businesses.
I have. I've done well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
but you were also into luxury developments as well.
Yes, I was.
The Whitsundays comes to mind. That's a highlight for me when I'm looking over your great history.
Yeah, 41 blocks in Nearly Beach, Cannon Vale. And that was a good project in tough times.
Mm.
And I've done, townhouses in Brighton and investment a lot in the mining towns more recently.
Right.
Yeah.
But that history, valuer, real estate agent, developer, what other parts of the industry have you covered there? Auctioneer? No, not.
I wasn't an auctioneer as such, but I attended many auctions. I could have been an auctioneer.
Could have been an auctioneer, yeah. But you were on the sales side of it, but you're also on the investment side of it more predominantly. You garnered an understanding of how to make property and your money work for you.
Yeah. I was at a table with many big developers and sitting down and giving them essential advice, particularly in Nearly Beach, and so more analytical side, working out what's going to go ahead in the future, supply and demand curves, the trends that are growing, and so forth.
And would you say that having that analytical mind and also that ability to sort of predict the trends, or at least to read the history and to predict trends, is that something that you would have applied to every decision that you've made?
Absolutely.
In property, especially.
Over many years, you pick up on your successes, and there were more successes than failures, but you learn from mistakes,
right,
as you were as a young player in property. But, Bali I saw as a lay-down misere of people coming here because there's great value, and it's a tight economy in Australia. And I should have been here earlier, because I saw that there was very few buildings built during COVID.
Yeah.
And now there was a pent-up demand.
Yes.
And that's been proven by my research, by, door knocking a lot of hotels and
take me into this, because I want to share this with all of you who are watching. We do a lot of due diligence here at GeoNet. And when we first met, I shared with you quite graphically all of the sources that I was getting my information from, because I could sense that you had more of an eye for this, right? Most of my clients, they do their due diligence on myself, on this company, but also obviously on the ROI and the predictions and some of the stats that we present to them. And hence why we're in the hotel asset class. This was something that got you quite excited. Once we started meeting on Zoom and although with your beautiful wife as well, and then you sent your son over as well and got to know him a little bit. So we do know each other, but statisticians wise and due diligence wise, I love to bring you somebody who's completely in your situation right now. If you're now watching us as an investor, prospective investor, here's a man who's gone down 40 years of real estate doing your due diligence on Bali, and it goes down to a door knock.
It does. I must say that
I love this.
I was very cautious. I didn't know you.
Yeah.
And I went right through, your profile, your company structure, and everything checked out. And I must say to this very day, everything you've told me has been correct, and probably in some parts understated. It's gone better.
That's good. That's good.
And I've done very well the way that things have gone up. But getting back to my due diligence, and I'll say this, always look for property that you can bring to higher and better use. And then you put an Excel spreadsheet and you put all the risks, income, and even sovereign risks of investing in Indonesia.
Okay.
And I must say that, Bali, I think, is quite secure, and they're pretty friendly to Australia, and they do rely on tourist income a lot from Australia. They've got 30%.
More Aussies here.
More Aussies here.
Yeah, every year it increases.
So I went down to a lot of similar projects, similar 5 stars, even on the beach, and worked back from there and got a centre rate, per square metre and a rate per night. Slice it up, dice it up many different ways. And I thought, Jesus, this return's looking pretty good. And I was getting a bit wary about investing in Australia because the returns are going down. And when you do your numbers, it's about 3.5%, metro areas. By the time you do the painting over 5, you immortalise it over 5 or 7 years, and the carpet 5 or 7 years, and the roof over maybe, 17 to 25 years. You add all those up, your net return is, it's pretty bad. And your mortgage costs as investors about 6%.
Yeah.
But getting back to Bali, I saw the opportunity of undersupply of 5-star accommodation.
Undersupply, as you say.
Yeah. And in great positions, and GeoNet have been clever enough to work out where the best positions are, and pick the right developers, and given enough information on the way things are going. So there's a trust level which is very hard to gain when you're investing overseas, and they've managed it very, very well. And I've, as I said before, you've said it's true.
I wear that as a badge of honour.
And I'm a real cynic, and I don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
I just, but that's good. I'm very pleased with the way it's gone, and it's a long-term investment for me, so the returns will be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, due diligence was something that you were literally paid for, feasibility studies and everything, right? That was something that, as a valuer and everything, was something that you would take into account, not just necessarily what other things are selling for, but what you might be able to get for a certain house on a certain block, right?
That's right.
And when we applied that, because we come from a background of similar backgrounds as a team. But when we tried to apply the usual wealth creation strategies to Bali, that we came up with, hands down, the only part of this property market here that is set to gain and gain and gain and gain was the hotel asset class. What were the interesting things that you found out about the hotel asset class as opposed to residential or as opposed to standalone villas? Was there anything there that shot out at you?
The income, it gets back to the statement of highest and best use for a property in a certain location. What are you going to get per square metre for the actual building?
Yeah.
and it was very, very good, great returns. And when I say great returns, it's consistent great returns I predicted into the future. And it only goes about 3 or 4 years out, but it all looks pretty good.
Mm.
And the property that GeoNet have bought is the stuff that I would have bought if I was in the same game.
Yep.
And I'm very keen to look at further things in Bali because I see an upside, and particularly it's very expensive in Australia to have a good holiday there. And certainly over Europe, with the way the dollar is, I think a lot more people will come here because there's a lot more 5-star units that are much better than the older,
That's right. That's right.
units.
See, and that was an interesting thing. Part of our acknowledgement when it came to deep diving into the luxury market here was that there were some very dated assets on the island. While they're still in beautiful locations, they need a lot of money. They need a lot of attention. For us, this is the opportunity to build properties for tomorrow's traveller, but with sustainable sustainable materials, sustainable designs. And then also when we apply the GeoNet model to refurbishments every 5 years.
Yeah.
No cost to our investors, right? We're applying a very different financial model to what was common here for the last 30 years. And that means that there will be an asset there that will stand the test of time and consistently gain a great status, a very good, it's just a very good profile. And also we're building some iconic things. I just showed you a little bit of a sneak peek at something.
Yeah.
You can sort of see that we're making a science out of this investment model. What do you think of that?
I think so. It's you're building to a market, and if you slice and dice the amount of 50 to 60-year-olds that come across here who really want to sort of perhaps dive in the super fund and get more than their 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10% and falling at the moment.
Yeah, good luck if you're getting that, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, from super funds.
And so you're getting sort of around about 15% roughly, and a bit more. And those invested a bit earlier are doing a lot better again. So that's very good. It's one thing I think that we haven't discussed is the annoyances of the average 50 to 6-year-old Aussie couple.
Yeah.
And they're sort of thinking, well, I'd like to leave a legacy for my grandchildren where they can come along and they can stay in the units, and I feel so I'm giving something back to my family.
That's nice.
And that's a growing thing in the old Australian mentality. And you'll see those people sort of popping up and using their super money and using it wisely. Yeah. And with their children in mind. And I've got that in mind for my kids that, I'll give them the units to use and their family.
They've got after 20, 30 years of beautiful holidays to look forward to, but also a great income.
Yeah, exactly.
Great income. And if you're looking at the right location as we do, then it's always going to be relevant in the Bali market, these hotels. They'll always be relevant. And we do have, I would say it's almost 20 to 30% of our clients are self-managed super fund trustees. Yes. That are looking to deploy money to work for them and to work for them in a very, very high cash flow. So we welcome those. We're compliant, by the way, just so that you understand. We have self-managed super fund agents in our network that can help you do that. Your journey with us has now you're in with us for 3 different investments already.
That's correct.
Yeah. The first investment, tell me about that, because obviously that was before you really knew me.
Well,
getting to know each other.
It was the Luke, and that was a 2-bedroom villa that was set into a complex of other hotel units, and a lot of good retail and quite a French Moroccan sort of feel to it.
Nice.
And that real 5-star, interesting. But it's a great location because you can walk down the beach. The Fins Club.
Yep.
And in around about 15 minutes, or take a take a a $3 or $4 taxi ride. You'll be down there in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yep.
So,
But what was it like as an investor for the first time, looking at what you were doing and coming to see us, and then making the decision?
I asked a lot of questions.
You do.
I drove you crazy.
No, I love that. I love that. And you know what? I had some very, very good conversations with you while I was not at work,
That's right.
and it doesn't faze me at all, because I just know that these are questions that are burning for you, and also you're gauging me. You're gauging my company based on how I answer those. Very aware of it.
That's right.
But I'm also very transparent.
Yeah.
Never held anything back from you,
Folks, that's true. He hasn't told me any porcupines. It's always, he's a straight shooter, and it's great, the good old Aussie fashion way.
Yeah. But you also offered me friendship, which was lovely, because I feel like I would love to be, I do this to change lives.
Yeah.
This whole team does this to change lives.
Yeah.
And even though you're a seasoned investor, I know that there are not a lot of seasoned investors that want to make this journey possible for themselves. And your transparency and my transparency together have garnered a good friendship and a mutual professional respect, I would say.
And it goes deeper than that, because the documentation, the brochures we're given were correct. Their website, you can choose and pick and choose fractional stuff and buying whole and an estimate of returns. And then, when you drill down to say, well, what are the returns and the rate per night and then occupancy rates, which I followed up and confirmed that class of asset, near the beach. You can walk to the shops at Semiac. It's great positions. And so the whole way of, because I understood real estate, it was very easy for me.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, Jesus, what am I getting myself into? But it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
It was here's a fair dinkum company full of good people that happened to hit on the marketplace early.
Yeah.
And have done a great job.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to the fact that we've got a crack team of people who are all in. We are all in. This company is all in. All 60 of us are all in to make the experience and the results better. And I'm constantly made aware of how proud I am of every single one of us, because we add so many different concepts and ideas to trying to build an investor community hub here as well, because you're now even more advanced than many of our investors, because you've gone down the business registration in Bali, so that you can minimize taxes, etc. And this is something that we're happy to walk you guys all down as well. So there's many different ways we can minimize your taxes as well. It also comes down to tax depreciation schedules, right?
That's right, and that's very good for an Australian to get a little bit off your tax back in Australia too. Alberto is, speaks fluent English, fantastic accountant, and I would recommend that that an investor has a chat to him. You'll get a different point of view from an Indonesian tax perspective.
Yeah,
it's quite complex, but he makes it easy.
Yeah,
so have a chat.
It was a walk down a very interesting lane for you, because obviously once you've done your net projections, you've still got to go, so where am I tax liable, etc. So, you expect to have some very good knowledge within a team that are setting this up for investors, foreign investors, right? And you're really using our network to the best of our talents, which is good.
Very much so. Even right down to the people looking after the contracts and explaining bits and pieces of the contracts, and you're in the sales, and you're across most things, but there's more other team members who have got a great specific knowledge. So there's a whole team behind Mark that is very, very good and great to deal with, and they all speak good English.
Yeah.
And one's from America originally, so
yeah. We've got some conversation. We've got some beautiful Indonesians here. We've got some Balinese. We've got Americans. We've got English. We've got Swiss. We've got French. We're a big bunch.
But I think being in any company is the the culture starts from the very top. And Chad and
I'm so glad you say that, because we believe in culture as well.
yeah, and it flows right down. There's a certain culture of doing the right thing, and at great expense. You know, they've got to give a lot more before it comes back. And I like that. I like that culture.
Yeah. We've definitely set this company up so that people understand we're here for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, and you're here now for 3 separate investments. You're contemplating more in Bali because Bali has ignited a flame in you.
It certainly has. You know, there's potential there in picking wisely.
Yep.
And picking in sort of older areas which they can get land and renovate. That's close to the beach and and the shops and Semiak. I like that area in Canggu. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're going to wrap it up a little bit, it would be remiss for me to not ask you for some wisdom. Okay, I'm going to ask you for a bit of wisdom.
Okay, so I'm going to go quite global here. There's a lot of uncertainty with where you put your money to invest. You know, you could lose it. But one thing people do like to do is have a holiday. Because it gets down to family culture. Listen, I'm going to take you somewhere. I need a rest.
Yeah.
And Bali is close to Australia. There's a lot more people coming across here. And Australians like to live in a bit of luxury, you know, and to spend, you know, $400 or $500 in absolute luxury. And some of the projects, some are less, you know.
Yeah.
Some of the projects you have. It's great. So in a sector that's going to grow, and certainly investors are going to chase the higher returns. After they've done the research, the returns are absolutely standing out.
Yeah, right.
And I don't want to predict what, you know, it's going to happen in 4 years' time, but, you know, it's looking very good for the next 3 or 4 years' time.
Yeah. Very, very good. Very, very good. So you're okay. I will stop there, but I just want to also welcome you to pretty much the Luke coming out of the ground, and it's being handed over in maybe 3 weeks' time.
Yep, that's been great. I've been through it, watching it go up, and we've gone through, put our gumboots on. And
that's right. That's right. And you're also getting your interest payments during construction. That's been on time.
8%. You know, you don't get that from a bank in Australia.
So during construction, you've been getting your 8% guaranteed incomes.
You know, like a clock, like a Swiss clock. It just comes in. It's, you know, another chase it.
That's nice to hear. Yeah. Where we try and keep it? Swiss time clock. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, that's right.
But Mark, I hope to do this with you again, because we could choose thousands of different topics on your journey. And every time you come back to Bali, not just when you come back to Bali, but during your hiatus, we're still on the phone and we're still chatting about world events and Bali investments and other things. But I'd love to do this again with you.
Yeah, I'll come back and do it in a heartbeat. It's fantastic. And this guy knows Bali like the back of his hand. He suggests some great places to go. Yeah. You know, for day trips. So I'll be picking your brains for those sort of
anytime, mate. Anytime. Love it.
Good, mate.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thanks very much for sitting in with us. It's a pleasure to be in the presence of Mark Meelan, and I look forward to meeting Kathy again, because Kathy, his wife, is just amazing as well. But if you enjoyed that, please like, comment, and subscribe, and join us here either in the office. Drop in and say hello. Give us a call. Drop on the website. Leave us an inquiry. We're here for you. And as you can see, people with very high caliber and a very, very intellectual mind for investing are singing our praises. And you weren't spurred for that, but I know that it comes from the heart.
Yeah.
And that means that my job's been made very, very, I feel very fulfilled in my job.
Yeah.
Because you're reaffirming everything that I come to work for.
That's right. No, it's been a pleasure working with you, and a really interesting journey.
Great.
I like challenges, and this has been great.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll leave it there. Thanks again for tuning in, guys.